The stars were quiet that night, far away from Earth. In the cold silence of space, a lonely spaceship floated near a forgotten planet. The pilot was a human, a young explorer named Eli Carter. He had short brown hair, sharp eyes, and a restless heart. He wasn't a soldier or a hero, just a curious man who wanted to find something no one else had. His ship, the Arrow, scanned the strange planet below. The system showed ruins, old metal, and something strange, a faint signal. Almost like a whisper, Eli leaned forward. "Computer, can you clean that up?" he asked. The screen blinked. The whisper became clearer. It wasn't a language. It was more like a feeling. "Help me, Eli's heart jumped. "That's not just static," he whispered. "That's a voice." He landed the ship. The planet was dead, full of gray rocks and silent winds. No trees, no animals. Just an old structure made of black stone and silver metal. It looked like a pyramid, but much older. Eli walked slowly, flashlight in hand, boots crunching on the dusty ground. The air was thin, cold, still. That feeling pulled him forward, like someone was watching him, or calling him. Inside the structure, the walls were covered with glowing symbols. Not human. Not any known alien language either. He touched one. A door opened. What he saw next stopped his breath. In the center of a giant chamber was a glass cage, floating in the air, glowing slightly. And inside it was a girl. She looked about his age. Long silver hair floated around her, like smoke. Her eyes were closed. She wore strange white armor that looked almost like it was part of her skin. Her hands rested calmly in her lap. She didn't look dead. She looked asleep. Eli stared in silence. "Who are you?" he whispered. Suddenly her eyes opened. They glowed bright blue. Eli stepped back, but something held him in place. Her eyes locked with his. Then a voice echoed in his mind. "You can hear me?" Eli gasped. "What was that? You?" She didn't speak out loud, but the voice continued in his head. Calm, soft. "Yes. You're not like the others. You can hear me. That means you're human." Eli was confused. "Why are you in there? Who did this to you?" Her head tilted slightly. "My name is Ray. I was locked here a long time ago. My people feared me. They feared what I could become." Eli walked closer. The glass shimmered with strange light. He reached out and touched it. It was warm. "Please," Ray said in his mind. "Don't leave me here. You don't understand what's coming." Eli looked around the room. Symbols on the walls began to glow brighter. Machines hidden in the walls came to life, reacting to his presence. "I don't know if I can help you," Eli said. "But I don't think I can walk away either." He studied the glass. No buttons, no switches. But there was something, a crack. So small, only his trained eyes could see it. "Who built this place?" he asked. Ray looked down. "My creators. The Valari. They built empires across galaxies. I was their mistake. A weapon they couldn't control." Eli felt a chill. "And now they've forgotten you." "Yes," Ray said. "Until you came." Eli stepped back. His mind raced. If he freed her, what would happen? Could he trust her? But another part of him, the part that came to space for adventure, whispered, "This is why you're here." He took a breath, placed his hand on the glass again. It glowed brighter then. A crack appeared. The chamber suddenly shook. Alarms. Blared red lights flashed from the walls. Eli looked around. Uh-oh. That wasn't supposed to happen. Ray stood inside the cage, her eyes shining. "They know," she said. "They know I'm awake." As the glass cracked further, Eli heard a deep sound, like thunder echoing through space. Above the planet, a forgotten satellite lit up for the first time in 1,000 years. It sent a signal. "Warning. Subject 9. Breach. Far away." In the dark corners of the galaxy, someone received the signal and smiled. Asterisk. Before the stars had names, she was already waiting. Long before Eli Carter was born, before Earth had learned to leave its sky, a girl sat silently in a prison made of light and glass. Her name was Ray, though even she had almost forgotten it. Time did not pass normally for her. She had stopped counting the years after the first 100. The silence was louder than screams. The stars moved. Civilizations rose and fell. And still, she waited for someone brave or foolish enough to listen. Now, the silence was broken. The glass was cracking. Ray opened her eyes fully. The chamber was shaking. Red lights flashed across the walls as if the ancient prison itself was angry. Machines woke from long sleep. Metal arms moved in the shadows, preparing for containment. But it was too late. He had touched the glass. Eli stood frozen, not from fear, but from disbelief. The girl who had just spoken inside his head now looked at him like she knew him, not just his name, but his past, his future, his heart. Ray's voice echoed in his mind again. Calmer this time. You should go, before it's too late. Eli took a shaky breath. I didn't come all this way just to leave someone behind. A loud crack echoed through the chamber. The glass was breaking, not exploding, not shattering, but coming apart slowly, like ice melting under sunlight. Eli stepped back. What happens now? Ray looked around. They'll come. They always do. Far away, in the dark zone of space, a hunter ship received the signal. Inside it, a creature of smoke and metal opened its 4 glowing eyes. A single word appeared. On its screen, Subject 9, active. The creature grinned. Let the chase begin. Back on the dead planet, Eli's ship, the arrow started picking up new readings. Unregistered signal approaching. The AI voice warned. Hostile probability. 87%. Eli rushed toward Ray, who now stood inside the glass as if waiting for a storm. The cracks around her pulsed with light. Ray, we have to go. Now. She looked unsure. I haven't stepped outside this cage in centuries. Eli reached out his hand. Then maybe it's time. The last piece of glass fell away. Ray stumbled forward. Her legs were weak, as if she had forgotten how to walk. Eli caught her before she could fall. She was surprisingly light and cold. Her skin shimmered faintly. Not human, but not machine either. Her heart was beating fast. Fast enough that Eli could feel it through her armor. Ray looked up at him. You're not afraid. Eli smiled, terrified. But I've seen worse. I once ate food from a Martian gas station. For the first time in centuries. Ray smiled. They ran back to the arrow as the ground began to shake. The prison structure behind them was collapsing, like it had completed its final job and didn't want to exist anymore. As the ship lifted off, Eli looked back one last time at the black pyramid. Gaunt, only dust remained. Inside the ship, Ray sat quietly. She stared out the window, watching the stars move. She didn't speak. Eli watched her through the reflection. So, he said finally, what exactly are you? She turned her glowing eyes toward him. I was made. Designed to be perfect. Strong. Intelligent. Obedient. But I asked questions they didn't want to hear, like what? Like what happens when perfection becomes curious? What happens when the weapon wants to know who she is? Eli nodded slowly. And for that, they locked you away. Ray looked down. Yes, and wiped me from all records. I was a secret dangerous to remember. Suddenly, alarms beeped on the ship. Unidentified vessel approaching fast. The computer warned. Eli jumped to the controls. That was quick. Ray stood, still weak but now steady. They sent a hunter. First of many. Can we outrun it? Not forever. Eli tightened his grip on the ship's wheel. Then let's run for now. As the arrow sped through the stars, Ray closed her eyes again. But not from fear. This time, she felt something strange. A spark, a connection. The human didn't treat her like a weapon. He didn't ask for her powers. He just reached out his hand. And saw her. After all these years. She wasn't alone anymore. Asterisk. Some cages are made of glass. Others are made of fear. Ray had broken the first. Now, she was about to break the second. The stars rushed past the windows of the arrow as Eli pushed the ship faster than ever before. Behind them, a trail of alarms and warnings flashed across the control screen. Unidentified craft gaining speed, the ship's AI said. Intercept in 90 seconds. Eli muttered under his breath. That thing must be riding a comet. Ray stood beside him, silent, her eyes focused on the blackness behind them. Her hands were clenched, and though she didn't show it, her mind raced. They had found her. The ship chasing them was not large, but it didn't need to be. It was sharp, black, and shaped like a predator. Inside it, the hunter sat like a shadow wearing armor. It didn't speak. It didn't smile. It simply locked onto the human ship and fired. Boom! A bright red blast slammed into the arrow's rear shield. The ship shook violently. Sparks flew from the ceiling. Eli was thrown forward but grabbed the console just in time. Shields at 62%, the AI reported. Yeah, no kidding. Eli shouted. He looked at Ray. You've been around longer than I have. Any ideas? Ray didn't move. She was listening. Not to Eli, but to the ship behind them. He's one of them, she said. A shadow hunter. They don't feel pain. They don't stop. They don't forget. Eli swallowed hard. Great. Sounds like my high school gym teacher. Suddenly, Ray walked to the center of the ship's deck and knelt down. Her fingers touched the cold metal floor. What are you doing? Eli asked. She didn't answer. Her eyes closed. Then, ... Something happened. The lights dimmed. The air felt heavy. Eli looked around, confused. Why do I feel like the ship is holding its breath? From Ray's body, a soft blue glow spread out like water. It moved across the walls and ceiling, crawling through the circuits of the ship, as if she was speaking to the machine without words. The ship's AI spoke again. New energy detected. Power levels increasing. Internal systems adapting. Eli stared. Wait, you're talking to my ship. Ray opened her eyes. They were glowing like stars. I'm not just talking, I'm waking it up. Outside, the hunter's ship prepared. Another shot. The pilot locked on. One more hit would destroy the human ship. But just before it fired, the arrow vanished. Inside, everything felt strange. The ship was faster now. Smoother. The controls glowed with unfamiliar light. Eli looked at Ray, both amazed and concerned. What did you do? I only gave it a memory, she said. It remembers what it could be. Eli grinned. Remind me never to make you angry. But the hunter wasn't done. It followed. It didn't care about speed or power. It cared about one thing. Capture. It launched sharp metal darts into space. Trackers that clung to the invisible path Ray had opened. Eli tried to turn, but the hunter had already locked on again. Ray stood up. Her hands were glowing now. Soft, but pulsing with energy. I'll handle this, she said. Eli frowned. You're still weak. Not weak, she replied. Just tired of running. She walked to the back of the ship and opened the emergency hatch. The stars rushed past outside. Wild, cold, endless. Ray raised her hand. A thin blue thread of energy formed between her fingers, stretching out like a web. The hunter's ship fired, but Ray was faster. With a simple flick of her wrist, the energy thread snapped forward, cutting the enemy blast in half like paper. The hunter paused. Ray stepped closer to the edge. She whispered something in a language Eli couldn't understand. Then, she released the thread. A brilliant flash lit up the stars. The hunter ship spun out of control, blinded, damaged, not destroyed, but thrown off course. Eli pulled Ray back in and sealed the hatch. He stared at her. What was that? Ray sat down, her breath heavy. A memory of who I was. As they flew deeper into space. The danger faded for now, but Ray knew better. This was only the beginning. The Velari Council would know, the hunter would return, and the human who freed her had just painted a target on Earth. Still, Ray looked at Eli, this stubborn, reckless, kind human. And for the first time since her cage shattered, she felt something new. Hope. Silence. Is strange after a storm. Inside the arrow, the stars outside no longer chased them. The ship floated in calm space, hiding in the shadows of an old moon. For the first time since Ray broke free, there was stillness. Eli sat on the floor near the control deck, head resting against the cold wall. A small cut bled just above his eyebrow. He wiped it away with a sleeve. Across from him, Ray sat cross-legged, eyes closed, face calm, almost too calm. The glowing lights in her skin had dimmed. She was resting, or maybe remembering. Eli broke the silence. So, how many of those hunter things are there? Ray opened her eyes slowly. Hundreds, maybe more. Eli blinked. And they all want you. She shook her head gently. No, they want us now. Meanwhile, in a distant system, a tall silver tower floated above a red gas planet. Inside, members of the Velari Council stood in a circle of dark stone. A voice echoed across the chamber. Subject 9 has escaped. Murmurs followed. A shadow moved across the light. Another voice, colder, answered. Then the old law is broken. A third figure, standing at the center, spoke with calm power. She must be returned, or erased. A pause. And what of the human? He dies first. Back in hiding, Eli tried to eat something. He held a protein bar, bit it, frowned, and tossed it aside. He looked at Ray. Do you eat? She looked at the bar and smiled faintly. Not that. I guess you don't sleep either. I rest, ... in other ways. Eli raised an eyebrow. You're really not like us. Ray tilted her head, watching him. And yet, ... you're the first to reach me. She stood up and walked toward the front window. The moon below them was cracked, hollowed out by old mining colonies. Nothing lived there now, only shadows and machines buried in dust. This place is forgotten, Ray said. So were you, Eli replied. She turned. There was something heavy in her eyes. Maybe I deserved to be. Eli stood slowly. You don't believe that? I was made for war, she said. Designed by a race that feared peace. When I asked questions, they put me in a glass box and left me to sleep while the stars kept burning. He took a step closer. And now you're free. She looked up at him. Freedom is dangerous when the galaxy wants you chained. Suddenly, the ship's warning system beeped. Not danger, but a message. Faint, broken, but human. Eli rushed to the console. It's from the edge of Sector 5, a mining station. They say they picked up something, some kind of ancient tech that lit up when you escaped. Ray's expression changed. A memory core. Eli nodded. They say it glowed with Velari symbols. They're scared. Ray's voice dropped. It's one of the hidden vaults. They're waking up to. Eli looked at her, unsure. Is that a good thing? She hesitated. It's a chance. A chance for what? To fight back. Eli smiled. Well, that's good, because I left Earth to find something worth fighting for. He turned to the ship's AI. Plot a course to Sector 5. Warning, the AI replied. Velari activity detected in nearby space. Eli looked at Ray. I don't care. Let's move. As the arrow left the safety of the moon's shadow, Ray stood beside Eli, her hands pressed against the window glass dot below them. The cracked moon faded into black. She whispered quietly, almost to herself, I will not run anymore. But elsewhere, in the dark, someone else had been watching. A new figure stepped out of shadow. Tall, armored in black, with eyes of burning white. A Velari warlord. He stared at the signal from Ray's escape. And he remembered her. Send word, he growled. The weapon walks again. Earth will burn with her. Asterisk, before it became a war, it started with a whisper. On a dark mining colony, orbiting a dying star. A little girl pointed to the sky and said, Mama, who is the blue lady in my dream? Her mother froze. There were no stories of blue ladies on that world. Not anymore. Across the galaxy, in quiet corners and hidden places, old machines began to glow. Symbols of the Velari language appeared on ancient walls. Forgotten weapons hummed, softly, not fully awake, but no longer asleep. And across those stars, one name began to spread, not shouted, not written, just whispered. On board the Arrow, the human ship now carrying the galaxy's most dangerous secret, Eli and Ray stared at the massive structure floating in space. It was not beautiful. It was broken, rusted, half buried in asteroid dust. But something inside, it pulsed like a heartbeat. Is this the vault? Eli asked. Ray nodded. One of them, the Velari left many behind, too powerful to destroy, too dangerous to share. Eli squinted. And we're just going to walk in. Ray turned her glowing eyes toward him. No, we're going to ask it to open. Inside the vault, lights flickered as Ray stepped forward. The walls scanned her silently, recognizing the one who had been locked away. She placed her hand on the center panel. It lit up. Not red, not green, but a soft white. A door opened, slow and deep. Beyond it was a room full of memories. Holograms lit the air. Battles, cities burning. Ray herself, younger, stronger, eyes full of fury. She saw herself leading soldiers, stopping missiles mid-air, tearing warships apart with a single wave of her hand. Eli watched. You were a living weapon, Ray replied softly. I was their favorite mistake. She walked to the center of the vault and picked up a small cube, glowing, humming like it remembered her. What is it? Eli asked. A signal key, she said. It can wake the others. Or call the rebels. Eli blinked. There are rebels, scattered, quiet, waiting. They never had a voice. And now she looked at him. Now they will have mine. Back in deep space, in a system called Vornak Reach, a human colony received the signal Ray sent from the cube. It was small, a pulse of light, a symbol in the air. But the colonists understood. They gathered in silence. Old soldiers, engineers, survivors. A woman with a missing eye and a burned arm looked up. It's her, she said. The one they locked away. Someone whispered. Then it's time. Eli and Ray sat together in the ship's living quarters. The cube, now quiet in Ray's hands. Are you sure about this? Eli asked. You don't have to start a war. Ray didn't answer right away. Finally, she said, the war already started the day they put me in that cage. I'm just finally standing up. Eli leaned back. And Earth. They'll come for us. She looked at him. Then we teach Earth to stop kneeling. Suddenly, the ship's screen lit up with a warning. Unknown vessels entering system. Multiple. Fast. Eli rushed through the controls. That was fast. We just got here. Ray stood calmly. They heard the whisper. Outside, Valari fighters appeared. Sleek, black, silent. They did not speak. They did not warn. They opened fire. Boom. The ship rocked hard. Eli gritted his teeth and held the wheel. Shields won't hold long. Ray placed the cube into a slot on the ship's console. The ship's energy spiked. New pattern detected. The AI said Valari. Override unlocked. Eli shouted, "What did you just do?" Ray's voice was quiet, but steady. "I just gave your ship a soul." The arrow transformed. Not visibly, but inside, the systems lit up like a living thing. It moved faster. Sharper. Ray stood at the window, hands raised, power glowing from her fingertips. She didn't fire missiles. She used light. Outside, the Valari ships began to shake. Their systems scrambled. Some froze. One exploded into stardust. Clean, quiet, and terrifying. Eli stared in awe. "You're not a weapon." Ray turned to him. "No, I'm a warning." The battle ended in minutes. The Valari fled, not in fear of the arrow, but of her. And somewhere deep in Valari space, in a cold dark throne room, a voice whispered, "She's awake, and she's not alone anymore." Asterisk. In the beginning, the galaxy was silent. Stars were born. Worlds died, and no one spoke. But then came a sound, not loud, not violent, just a signal. Simple, strong, clear, one word, carried by light. Ray. The signal traveled fast, faster than rules, faster than fear. It reached moons where no one had lived for years. It touched satellites left behind in wars long forgotten. It echoed in the minds of machines and people who thought they had no fight left. On Earth, a boy in a basement caught it by accident. On Mars, a colony leader paused mid-speech. On a mining rig near Saturn's edge, a retired soldier stood up without a word. And far beyond the human systems, on a rogue planet spinning alone, a hidden base lit up for the first time in 2 decades. The rebels were waking up. Inside the arrow, Ray stood near the console, watching her signal spread. Her face was calm, but her eyes burned with light. Not rage, not pride. Purpose. Eli leaned against the wall, chewing a protein stick. "So, now everyone knows you're back." Ray looked at him. "That was the point." "Yeah, well," he muttered. "Now I'm part of the galaxy's most wanted list." He tossed the wrapper aside and sat down. "Just one question. What now?" Ray touched the glass in front of her. "Now we gather those who still remember what freedom feels like." But they were not the only ones watching the signal. Far away, deep in the center of Valari space, a throne room of cold stone and steel fell quiet. On a raised platform stood the High Commander, a tall figure in dark armor, eyes glowing like fire under his mask. He watched the signal replay, watched Ray's image flicker on the screen. "She dares speak?" he asked. A soldier kneeled. "Yes, my lord. The message has reached over 60 systems." The commander stepped forward, then burned 60 systems. Back aboard the Arrow, a new voice broke through the silence. "Unknown ship approaching. Human signature confirmed." Eli turned to Ray. "Did you call friends over for dinner?" Or the screen flashed. A sleek gray ship appeared, patched together from different models. Old, scuffed, but fast. Then a voice came through. "This is Captain Sela of the Freebelt. Heard your message, Ghost Girl. Need help or just making noise?" Eli smiled. "Looks like someone answered the phone." Ray stepped forward. "I need fighters, flyers, anyone who still believes Earth doesn't belong in a cage." Sela laughed. "You're asking pirates and miners to fight the most powerful empire in the galaxy." "No," Ray replied. "I'm asking them to remind the galaxy what it means to be human." Over the next hours, more signals came. Old military units, rogue scientists, smugglers, hackers. One group flew in with patched-together ships and called themselves the Burned. Another sent a message from deep underground. "The Earthborn, remember?" Eli stared at the growing list. "They're really coming." Ray didn't smile. She simply said, "They've been waiting for someone to say enough." But peace didn't last. The next alert wasn't friendly. Valari fleet detected the AI warned. 13 ships. High-speed approach. Eli ran to the controls. "They found us again." Ray placed a hand on the console. "Prepare to jump." "Jump where?" "Anywhere but here." As she activated the drive, She reached for the cube. Again, now glowing with every connection made. Every ally found. The ship vanished seconds before the Valari fleet arrived. The fleet commander stared at the empty space where the arrow had just been. He sent one order. Track the signal. Break their alliances. And when you find the girl, no more cages. Only ashes. In another forgotten place, a rebel base hummed with life. A teenage pilot ran up to her leader. "Sir, new ship arriving. It's her." The man, once a general, now a fugitive, stood up slowly. "She finally speaks," he said. He looked at the screen. Rey was coming. And this time she wasn't alone. She was born in silence, forged in light, trained to obey, built never to feel. But somewhere along the stars, she met a human, and everything changed. The war didn't start with bombs. It started with a girl stepping out of her cage, and saying no. Above a ruined moon, dozens of ships floated like ghosts. Rebel craft, patched warships, stolen Valari fighters, all pointed at the same target. The Ark of Silence, a massive Valari flagship, blacker than space, holding the weapon meant to erase Earth. Inside the arrow, Rey stood at the window, her silver hair braided back, eyes glowing bright and steady. Beside her, Eli tightened the straps on his flight harness. He looked at her, the way a man looks at a star that might burn or save him. "You don't have to do this alone," he said. Rey didn't answer right away. Then she whispered, "I do. But I won't finish it alone." The rebels were ready. In a hidden command center on the lead ship, Captain Sealer shouted across the deck, "They'll hit us hard. We hit back harder. No surrender today. No cages." Cheers followed. For once, the humans weren't just surviving. They were fighting back. On the Valari Ark, the High Commander watched from his throne of steel. "She returns to die," he said calmly. "Let her watch her rebels fall first." He raised his hand. Fire, lasers streaked through space. Explosions lit up like falling suns. Rey stepped to the center of the arrow and placed the glowing cube into the ship's core. The ship responded, changing shape from within, becoming faster, sharper, something half machine, half memory. "She's binding herself to the ship," the AI whispered. Eli stepped back. "What does that mean?" "She's becoming what they feared." Rey's voice filled every rebel speaker. "To everyone hearing this, do not fight for me. Fight for who you are when no one is watching. They called us weak, small, unworthy. Today, we remind them, humanity endures." She launched the arrow straight at the Valari Ark, dodging fire with impossible speed. Rey's power flowed through the ship like a river of stars. Inside the Ark, Valari soldiers panicked. Their systems shut down. Lights flickered. Memories from Rey's signal infected their tech like ghosts. And then, Rey arrived. She walked into the heart of the Ark alone. No weapons, just light in her hands, and fury in her heart. The High Commander stood waiting, his armor glowing with red energy. "You were made to serve," he said. Rey stopped. "No, I was made, that's all." They fought light against fire, memory against machine. The Ark trembled, beams shattered, walls melted, and in that moment, Rey had a choice. She could release all her power, destroy the Ark, burn it into the stars, but doing so would kill her. And everyone near. She paused. Eli's voice echoed in her mind. "Don't let them decide who you are." And so, she chose differently. Instead of destruction, she sent a final signal, not to kill, but to shut down every Valari system connected to her. The Ark powered off. Every Valari warship went dark. She dropped to her knees, glowing, fading. The arrow picked her up seconds later. Eli ran to her. "Stay with me." Her voice was weak. "Did they listen?" Eli nodded, tears in his eyes. "Yeah, they listened." Days later, the Valari signed a ceasefire. Earth was untouched. The rebel signal lived on. Rey slept in a chamber of light, recovering slowly. Not a weapon, not a goddess, just Rey, the girl who once lived in a glass cage, forgotten by everyone, until one human broke it and took her home.